For 30 years, Dolby and DTS have been duking it out, but it seemed like Dolby was taking the title of heavyweight champ once almost every streaming service adopted Dolby Atmos. But things changed a bit when DTS:X became available with certain titles on Disney Plus and a select few titles on Sony Pictures Core. So let's discuss these two powerhouses and see why this battle continues even today. I'm Elon Osborne and this is Ecoustically Speaking. A long time ago, on a medium far, far away, two companies began a format war. The medium was the now nearly defunct DVD, or Digital Versatile Disc, although most of you may know it as its more common name, Digital Video Disc. And the battle was over the delivery of digital surround sound to consumers' living rooms and home theaters. In one corner, audio heavyweight Dolby offered up Dolby Digital, aka Dolby AC3. In the other corner, challenger DTS offered up DTS Coherent Acoustics, or DCA. But most people knew that simply as DTS or DTS Digital Surround. Now, 30 years later, the whole Dolby versus DTS, which is better debate rages on. And now, the latest version of DTS surround sound, DTS:X Immersive Sound, has come to Disney Plus streaming services as of May 15, 2024, as part of the IMAX Enhanced program expansion. At this point, Disney Plus and Sony Pictures Core subscribers are still some of the few that can experience a select view of their favorite movies with IMAX Enhanced Sound, powered by DTS:X, of course. To find out why, or even if this matters, we need to take a ride in the Wayback Machine. While the Laserdisc format was technically the first to deliver digital surround sound to consumers in 1995, the all-digital DVD format was the first major home video format to deliver discrete multi-channel surround to the home in 1997. This represented a huge step forward for home theater and multi-channel hi-fi rigs because discrete multi-channel surround finally allowed home audio systems to approach the sound quality of movie theaters, with discrete channels assigned to front right, front left, center, left surround, right surround, and LFE, or low frequency effects. The original surround sound mix for the movie theater could now be reproduced pretty convincingly at home. This 6-channel surround sound system is commonly referred to as 5.1 channel surround sound. All you needed was a DVD player, a high-quality AV receiver, 5 good speakers, and a subwoofer. Poof! Instant home theater. Oh, and a TV or projector would help if you wanted to actually watch something too. Before DVD, the all-analog VHS tape format was limited to just 2 channels of sound. Surround sound was encoded into these 2 channels via a matrix encoding system, usually Dolby Surround or Dolby Pro Logic. You could get surround sound out of VHS tapes, but this system was not as effective at reproducing the spatial effects of surround sound as a discrete system. And the analog sound was limited in both frequency response and dynamic range. But DVD had its own challenges too. With limited data available on the actual DVD, all multi-channel digital sound had to be compressed in order to fit on the disc. Many DVDs include an uncompressed PCM digital audio track as well, but these are limited to 2-channel stereo. So Dolby Digital, with its 5.1 channel capabilities, became a required part of the DVD standard in 1996 when the format was released. Dolby Digital 5.1 DVDs started rolling out in early 1997. Some felt that the compression and low bitrate used on early DVDs resulted in a loss in sound quality. If not enough bandwidth is available for the soundtrack, it can suffer from digital nasties like harsh high frequencies, a sharp or metallic sound, compressed dynamic range, or a noticeable loss of detail. DTS jumped in to rescue us poor audiophiles by offering up DVDs with superior sound. The Dolby Digital bitrate technically maxes out at 640 kilobits per second, but Dolby Digital on DVDs is capped at a much lower rate of 448 kilobits per second. Lower bandwidth means higher compression, which means the potential for more audible artifacts. Pay no attention to the fact that Dolby Digital on the 35mm prints in movie theaters at the time was fixed at an even lower 320 kilobits per second, but I digress. DTS Digital Surround supports bandwidths of 768 kilobits and 1.5 megabits per second in a 5.1 channel surround sound system. That's more than 3 times as much bandwidth compared to Dolby Digital on DVD. Of course, the two codecs vary in efficiency, so you can't assume a higher bitrate in one format is going to sound better than a lower bitrate in another. All else being equal, more bits are better. But as far as preferences go, it's always best to trust your ears. DTS was not originally a part of the DVD standard, so the earliest DVD players could not handle DVDs encoded in DTS surround. However, DTS was added to the DVD specifications as an option in late 1997. The first DVD with a DTS 5.1 soundtrack was The Legend of Mulan, released in 1998, but not to be confused with Disney's similarly titled film, Mulan. Although, maybe they were hoping you'd confuse them because The Legend of Mulan was apparently a pretty terrible movie. More titles followed over time. And while a few dozen DVDs were released in full bandwidth DTS, aka 1.5 megabits per second, the studio soon realized that allocating that much room for audio left less room for video and extras. And no one wants to have to get up to change discs in the middle of a movie. So most DTS DVD titles were released with soundtracks encoded at 768 kilobits per second. DTS had limited success on DVD with only a few hundred titles released globally compared to hundreds of thousands of titles released on DVD and Dolby Digital. I mean, it was the default DVD sound format after all. There have been a few DVDs released with both Dolby Digital 5.1 and DTS 5.1 soundtracks, and many hobbyists spent long nights switching between those to pick a favorite. The timing of the DVD launch coincided with the rise of online discussion forums, chat rooms, and news groups like CompuServe's C Forum and ABS Forum, to name just two. So then anyone with a connection to the internet and a keyboard could sound off with their opinions about any topic they were passionate about. During the early days of this format war, a vocal contingent of AV hobbyists declared that DTS was superior to Dolby Digital. And with the higher bandwidth of DTS compared to Dolby on DVD, there were some solid arguments to be made here. Of course, Dolby certainly had its fair share of fans as well. And so the battle began. When the new improved high-definition Blu-ray disc format came out in 2006, with vastly more storage available than DVD, both Dolby and DTS released lossless multi-channel surround sound formats. The definition of a lossless system is that nothing is lost in its encoding and decoding process. So while DTS HD Master Audio and Dolby True HD encoding created audio files that were much smaller than uncompressed PCM files, the resulting playback was a bit-perfect reproduction of the original soundtrack. So Dolby and DTS went to war again, this time on Blu-ray. Even though both were lossless systems, you still had fans claiming one sounded better than the other. Really, the only logical explanation to this may be that mixes of each were done differently, resulting in a different actual sound mix, or that Dolby's mandatory dialogue normalization or dial norm feature made the Dolby True HD version of the mix sound different from the DTS version. But also, a part of it was that people like to root for the underdog, DTS, and stick it to the man, which is Dolby in this case. DTS HD Master Audio enjoyed some success on Blu-ray disc, with more titles released in DTS HD MA than Dolby True HD. Some say this was due to lower licensing fees for the studios to pay for a DTS encoding compared to Dolby. But in terms of quality, the two formats are functionally equivalent as they're both lossless. Either format is capable of exceptionally good sound. Surround sound evolved further in 2012 with the release of immersive sound formats, meaning surround sound with height information. Again, both DTS and Dolby offered a solution for this, Dolby Atmos and DTS-X. Dolby made a big splash with immersive sound in 2012 with the release of Brave in Dolby Atmos in select theaters. Arrows from our plucky heroine's bow were shooting not just beside you and behind you, but over your head as well. And you better believe I myself made it a point to see Brave in theaters strictly because of this new Dolby Atmos format. And it was cool. All this excitement led to Dolby Atmos making it into home audio video systems within 2 years. At this point, DTS was already out of the movie theater business, so they focused exclusively on the home market with DTS-X. Sure, these object-based immersive sound formats could be delivered by a lossless codec like Dolby True HD or DTS HD Master Audio. But they could also be delivered via lossy codecs like Dolby Digital Plus or DTS HD high-resolution audio. On Blu-ray and 4K Blu-ray disc, nearly all immersive soundtracks are delivered via a lossless codec. So buying a movie on Blu-ray or 4K Blu-ray disc means you get the best quality immersive surround sound available. Dolby Atmos is much more prevalent on Blu-ray than DTS-X, but there are great movies available in both formats, and just about all AV receivers that decode one format decode the other. So consumers can buy titles encoded in either format and enjoy top quality immersive surround sound at home. While physical media like Blu-ray and 4K Blu-ray are still the best way to enjoy movies at home as far as audio and video quality is concerned, sales of physical media are dwindling, and with that, so is the support of studios and retailers for those formats. Now it is far more common for consumers to view movies and TV shows over a streaming service like Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Apple TV Plus, or Disney Plus. And with the popularity of streaming, we basically come full circle as we did with the bandwidth limitations of DVD, but now with the limitations of consuming our entertainment over the internet from a server many miles away. With the limited network bandwidth available to many consumers, the costs involved with cloud storage and content delivery, studios and streaming services are trying to deliver the best quality picture and sound over the lowest possible bandwidth. And that means going back to lossy audio codecs. In terms of the streaming services, Dolby Atmos has virtually cornered the market on immersive audio on the major streaming platforms. The most popular streaming services such as Netflix, Prime Video, HBO, Apple TV Plus, and Disney Plus all support Dolby Atmos, with hundreds or even thousands of titles available in the format on each platform. As of today, there are really only 2 streaming services in North America that support DTS:X sound, Sony Pictures Core and Disney Plus. And there are only a limited amount of DTS:X titles on each platform. In addition, there are only select high-end Sony, Hisense, TCL, and Philips TVs that support DTS:X decoding, though more models are being added to the list each year. Audiophiles and movie lovers with a bit more disposable income can get a larger selection of movies encoded in DTS:X immersive surround via the Kaleidoscape service. Rather than streaming, Kaleidoscape works via instant digital downloads, so it isn't limited by the bandwidth restrictions of a traditional streaming system. But Kaleidoscape has a rather high cost of entry. Their most affordable player, the Kaleidoscape Strato M, rings up at about $2,000. In addition, the Strato M only supports up to 1080p picture quality. And unlike streaming services, which offer a flat monthly fee for access to thousands of movies and TV shows, Kaleidoscape charges by the title, either to rent or to purchase. If you can't afford the Kaleidoscape system, you're in for a treat as it rivals 4K Blu-ray disc for both audio and video quality. Kaleidoscape actually downloads a copy of the movie into local storage on your home network, so it is virtually impervious to buffering, network slowdowns, and outages. If you pre-order a title, Kaleidoscape will download it in the background so it's ready at the exact date and time of its release. Kaleidoscape combines the best features of streaming with the quality advantages of physical media. The service even gets movies early, sometimes while they're still in theaters, which is an additional perk. But its cost of entry makes it unlikely to match the use and popularity of mainstream streaming services. And don't forget the other player to the game, IMAX Enhanced, which hitches a ride on the DTS:X codec. But we did a whole deep dive on that on another Ecoustically Speaking episode, so I recommend watching that if you haven't already gotten the full scoop. So, after more than a year since IMAX Enhanced DTS:X audio first debuted on Disney Plus, and the fact that it's available on Sony Pictures Core, it's kind of the same old at this point in 2025. And as far as lossless versions, Dolby Atmos is still in demand on 4K Blu-rays and even some standard Blu-ray discs. And even to this day, I still see some new releases with DTS:X soundtracks. Although I have noticed that Dolby Atmos seems to be strong-arming its way into the only format needed on physical media now as well. Take Shaun of the Dead, for example. I own Edgar Wright's Cornetto Trilogy triple pack on 4K Blu-ray, which all have DTS:X soundtracks. But not too long ago, for the 20th anniversary, Shaun of the Dead was remastered in a gorgeous new native 4K picture with Dolby Vision. But it had a new Dolby Atmos soundtrack. Huh, interesting. But let me tell you, I have compared those two soundtracks and they are virtually identical. So in the end, with both audio codecs performing at such peak performance, especially if it's Dolby True HD or DTS HD Master Audio, does it really matter? Good sound is good sound, right? Just as long as you're still not watching movies through crappy TV speakers. Am I right? How about you, dear viewers? Is IMAX/DTS:X on Disney Plus even on your radar? Do you have a preference in the Dolby versus DTS debate? Let us know in the comments below. And that wraps up this episode of Ecoustically Speaking. For all things hi-fi, home theater, home audio, wearables, gadgets, and tech, don't forget to bookmark ecoustics.com to stay in the know. Until next time.